Hey gamers, this is DizzyPW with OnRPG, here to bring you episode 2 of my epic MMO list, this week featuring Perfect World Entertainment's Forsaken World. Forsaken World is a game some people might not expect to make my epic MMO list, and up until recently I would have agreed with you. It's underrated for two major reasons. First is that it is a poster child for the naysayers that call it a WoW clone. And this is due to Forsaken World taking what has worked in so many MMOs before and combining the good elements into one solid game. Hardly something you can criticize them for, though. Second, more prominent reason that they're looked down upon is because of a year-long closed beta that killed a lot of the initial hype of the game during its launch. No one wants to play a game for a year straight only to have all that progress taken away after all. But now it's fully released and my guild has taken to giving it a second try, and the post-release content has been quite spectacular. So now, let's discuss the three traits that make this a good game. First is the vast amounts of customization options you have in building your character. And no, I'm not talking about fluff things like fashion and hairstyle. I mean, this game has features up the wazoo. First off, the number of races and classes is quite astounding. There are 8 classes and 5 races, and various classes have different strengths and weaknesses depending on which race they follow. Take, for instance, a human warrior versus an elven warrior. Humans tend to be more sturdy and able to take a pounding, all the while resisting most CC used against them. Meanwhile, elves are able to bind foes in place, drain mana, and unleash their fury of swordsmanship with pinpoint accuracy. Now, the defining class of this game is probably the vampire. If you've ever played a necromancer in Guild Wars, then you have an idea of what this class is capable of. Vampires bind enemies in place, leech life, unleash horrible curses, and can enter a terrifying vampire mode in which their speed and power skyrockets. Very nasty class you don't want to have a one-on-one encounter with in a back alley, that's for sure. But still quite balanced in group battles and definitely a solid addition to the more stereotypical classes present in the game. Beyond just class selection, there are tons of pieces that you can customize on your character over the course of the game. Your armor can be sharded and refined to match your playstyle. Also, some randomization in each piece of armor ensures that no two pieces of armor are exactly the same, something that plagued its predecessor pretty heavily, Perfect World. All armor pieces reflect in some way on your character, graphically, which is a thing that is just beautiful in this game. You're also able to build up various reputation points as you play to unlock special items. There's also literally thousands of achievements you can earn in this game, with some of the more difficult ones giving you fancy titles to wear. You can even set your date of birth, which impacts rewards given to you through the prayer and astrology system. Once you reach level 45, you can even begin to train your mastery and resistance points up. Hate vampires and assassins? Train your resistance to darkness and give yourself an edge over them. Most important of all, however, is the talent tree. This is what really sets this game apart. They have taken the standard talent trees seen in games like WoW and just made it perfect. Every class has a talent tree, and classes that are available to different races offer different talents to ensure even more specialization. Each class has 3 routes they can take, though it's often viable to mix and match between 2 of the trees. Talents sometimes even unlock new skills that other members of your class won't have access to, such as the Water Bard's Sonata of Water, a 40% damage reduction shield. Man, there's a pet system in this game too that really blows most pet systems out of the water. It feels like playing mini Pokemon for sure. You can train your pet to have strengths and resistances to various elements, which also gives those resistances to yourself. You can even find and unlock special skills to teach them so that you can customize your pet from other people's pets. At later levels, pets can even run dungeons that you don't find particularly enjoyable so that you can earn the rewards without spending your free time on something boring. The final piece of the puzzle for customization is the job system. As you complete the main quest, you unlock job points to unlock various jobs. While some should be known by everyone, such as botany, chef, and alchemist, more advanced jobs like tailor and blacksmith are best assigned to various members of your guild. Even if someone is a tailor, they will have to learn various trades of the tailor over time, and it's more efficient to have multiple tailors in your faction, each specializing in a different type of armor. Now that we've talked about the customization, let's talk about the gameplay. The second piece of this game that makes it stand out from most free-to-play MMOs on the market is a series of dungeons that actually require you to think to complete them. The most notable of these dungeons is called the Nightmare Carnival, in which a player's power is completely irrelevant, and a level 30 can easily outperform a level 70 if they are a superior thinker. So let's walk through the stages of this dungeon. As you can see, the first room is a simple Twitch-based challenge in which players must navigate across a poison cloud with a holy healing circle guiding them. Now this looks easy, but can become quite a challenge if you experience any type of lag. For those playing on a server far away from your location and having ping issues, I would advise you to use the following trick. If you carry or are carried across the room by someone, you'll be invincible to the poison. This is the power of love at its finest. The second room is, in my opinion, the most challenging room. If you know what you're doing, it isn't so hard, but that's actually a rare trait when running with randoms. The freaky clown guy will tell you to either do what he says and not what he does, do what he does and not what he says, or do neither what he does or what he says. He will then say to strike a dummy and begin striking a dummy himself. Now what makes this difficult is you only have about 6 seconds between when he starts and when your attack needs to land on a dummy. This is particularly difficult for melee classes that have to move into range to strike the dummy in time. After 3 members of your party have successfully followed orders 5 times in a row, you can move on to the counting room. The counting room can be the most difficult in the dungeon simply because it requires a few smart people instead of just 1 or 2. In this room you are given a number and about 10 seconds to balance the weight on both circles. Now goblins are worth 1 point of weight and can be destroyed. Most players are 2 points of weight. Dwarves are 1 point of weight and stonemen are 3 points of weight. Ideally, the best way to run this is to put your 2 fastest thinkers as circle leaders. You'll be the only one allowed to destroy the goblins. Then assign 1 person of weight 2 to stand by each circle and jump in when necessary. Have the rest of your team, including any dwarves or stonemen, stand in the middle of the 2 circles and follow orders from the circle leader whenever they might be needed. It's rare, but sometimes the clown calls out ridiculous weights like 10 and the stoneman will be the only one capable of reaching those weights. After 10 successful rounds, you move on to the fun room. The last room isn't difficult, but it is challenging and a great room to compete with friends. You are given about 5 minutes to steal as many antiques as possible, all the while fireflies and clown guards try to interrupt you. The flies will aggro and interrupt you until you kill them, making it impossible to loot antiques. The clown guard will catch you and throw an incredibly devastating movement debuff on you, but will only chase 1 party member at a time, so pay attention to the chat box to see who he's after next. The ideal way of maxing this room out is to have 1 member of the team run around collecting fireflies while the rest farm antiques. If you're with a random group though, I suggest summoning your pet and setting it to defend. If a firefly attacks you, your pet will automatically dispatch it for you. You can also use tab targeting plus the pet attack skill to send your pet out and clear fireflies prior to your arrival. This little gem of knowledge is vital if you want to obtain the quickest title for nabbing 60 antiques yourself. Another dungeon run reliant on teamwork is God's Trial. Usually this dungeon involves splitting your team up into teams of 2 to save the goddess's 6 elemental statues. The elements will turn against you slowly, draining your mana, lowering your accuracy, lowering your movement speed, and sometimes even setting you on fire. So you'll definitely want to work together to defend all 6 of the goddess statues to gain protection from the elements. If you succeed, each statue offers various buffs to reward your hard work and make clearing the remainder of the dungeon a cinch. Now the reason I'm showing this footage is to demonstrate the third feature that makes this game epic. Some servers offer an open PK or player killing system in which you can attack and kill anyone you want with minimal penalties. While this can be a pain if you get in trouble with a powerful group of players, most of the time it serves as a way for players to act as GMs to put troublemakers in their place. As you can probably tell by the chat box, this random vampire in our group is being quite rude. Instead of having to deal with him for the remainder of the run like we would in most MMOs, we can democratically vote to kick him from party and then kill him. Since he was already marked with a red name for killing other players that didn't defend themselves, we do this with no penalty to ourselves and can finish the dungeon run in peace. Well guys, that's pretty much it for my overview of Forsaken World. I highly suggest you check out Perfect World International's website to give this game a shot, and stay tuned in the following weeks as I'll be bringing you episode 3 of my epic MMO series covering the non-target based fantasy MMO Dragon Nest. Catch you later, this is DizzyPW signing out.